Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends in the cybersecurity family, you do not have any problems with malware. This is something we are used to saying as CrowdStrike, and the problem we are facing collectively is not a problem of malware. It is a problem of adversary. I'm going to check if the slides are shared on the screen. Okay. It doesn't matter whether we are talking about Zeus or Emotek, Trojan War. We are talking about a sophisticated attack, and the common denominator is individuals or groups of individuals that will realize those actions with a motive, with techniques that are specific to them. The threat in terms of our sector resides in those people. The more you know your adversary, the best chances you have to counter those attacks. And we know those adversaries in CrowdStrike because we have the threat intelligence. Million sensors are spread in our platform. So hello, everyone. I'm Mikael Le Gall. I am responsible sales manager engineering. I'm going to share a few topics in cloud environments threats. I'm going to illustrate my topic with a group that is called Scatter Spider. Then I will explain how to prevent those attacks with our Falcon security platform. In order to give you a little background is the global threat report. This is going to illustrate what we do. We have added since last year 34 new adversaries compared to last year's 232. We're not going to talk about all of them today, but we will talk about the ones that are very specific to the cloud attacks. One interesting statistics is that we've had 75% rise of cloud threats. If you have asked me last year what was the most important things, I would have talked about crypto miners, but in reality, this is not what we see the most. What we see the most is attacks that are comparable to what is done in more traditional environments, but use more and more cloud-specific techniques. So we will come back to this a little bit later, but the motives are financial, and most of all of those, they are attributed to actors in cyber criminality in order to monetize those so that they share the data of their attacks. The adversaries are just like you and I. They develop little by little their skills in the cloud. And what we've observed in the intrusions of the cloud is that the techniques were kind of similar in terms of compared to traditional environments, but something that has been really rising is something inside the cloud. So you can add authentication actor and SSID, or to have a snapshot in order to get data extraction. It is an augmentation of 110% that we called cloud. I'm sorry, I missed the term. That are specific to the cloud. So those adversaries, who are them? Who are they? Sorry. So we have Cozy Bear that is rather affiliated to the Russian attackers. They have been known for recent Microsoft attacks in terms of source codes, and in 2023, we have come across them when they have tried to steal some information in Microsoft 365. They have been able to go beyond authentication security, so they are rather serious. They have been able to access stored cookies. So that's, and then we have in Korea, Labyrinth Kolima. They are known to infiltrate the cloud, the Google Cloud, etc. We also have Cosmic Wolf, that is most often affiliated to Turkey. We have, they are known to steal some credentials and cloud environments, for example, and to create persistence in the attack. But then the gold medal goes to Scattered Spider, that repents about 29% of all those intrusions in the cloud. So I'm not going to have you applaud them, but yes, we will talk about them a little bit more. They have gotten a lot of attention in the cyber community last year, the second part of 2023, because they have started to attack cloud environments. It's a group of adversaries, minimum of 4 individuals. We think they are scattered in the United States, the UK. They're known to be using phishing pages that are very well done. Also vishing, which is vocal phishing. And they were able to send some notifications. And at some point, you will just give in and notify one of them and use them. And that's some sort of valid authentication from them. They have targeted mainly the tech sector to have a supply chain audit attack. And their idea was to corrupt the user and to diffuse the attack in order to reach more targets. A Scattered Spider is used to deploy ransomware. For example, Alfie, we'll see that a little bit later, but which is very interesting in Scattered Spider is they have the ability to use a cloud-based technique that is rather developed. They are able to deactivate some security measures. We'll see an example of an attack right now. What we need to understand here is that those actors are more sophisticated, but they're also faster. They're very quick. And a way to measure this velocity is in terms of a breakout time, it's the time that is needed between a first host that is compromised and a second action. Because usually the first host that is compromised is not the one that has the most important value for the attacker. It will answer in a phase that is more inclined to I'm sorry, the breakout time, we have seen this going from 84 minutes to 62 minutes. So it's going down. The reduction of the time is pretty amazing. It's pretty significant. The fastest we've seen is 2.7 minutes from the start of the main compromise and the lateral attack. What you see here on this screen, I'm sorry, it's a bit small. It's a real attack that was caught by CrowdStrike, and it's a software editor that we will not mention its name, but it starts with a text phishing campaign and collect some credential and then access a WS environment. It needs the identity provider, and then they'll start their we start to understand that those attackers know what they're doing, they know the environment, and then they will create an access key for a existing user. They will deactivate guard duty and try to erase traces and cloud trails. So you can see that this is very sophisticated, and that's how we can see when you see that they are able to do that in the cloud environment. It's very sophisticated. They will also add their own MFA provider and thus create a persistent access. So it doesn't matter if those steps are maybe confusing or unknown to you, but what you need to remember is that we're facing an adversary that knows what it's doing. So through the key chain, we see that they are using all of those steps to get to their means. So in terms of security, we know there's a risk when we have a threat. So we've talked about those actors that specialize in clouds, and then the other side is the opportunity. The opportunity is raised by some little vulnerabilities and negligences that can have a disastrous impact. We see that 60% of the the cloud workloads did not have a security solution that was configured in the right way. About a third of the workloads are executed in routes and privileged routes. So it's the reunion of those two things that raises the main problem. So we know the threat, and the one thing that we can do is to have information about those actors and threats. But there's another complex form in our way that we answer those threats. And we have a little bit more weight in this. And cloud security, it's a rather new topic. And so we will see a lot of solutions that will address part of the problem, sometimes in a really good way. But this chaos that is being created is really an opportunity for the attackers. And they will have a lot of availability in like getting inside those. The approach in this cloud, the last few years, have rendered the securities more expensive, less easy to operate in between those solutions. And in the end, what it creates is a longer response times. And we know that the response time is the most important area, because I was mentioning earlier, the fastest one was 2.7 minutes. So how can we, allow ourselves to be slower when they are faster? When we see the number of solutions that are available in the cloud, Gartner has created this category that is called CNAP or CNAP, depends how you want to call it. And it highlights all of the benefits to have a solution and a certain number of functionalities to protect your cloud environments, whether it is in the development phase or the production phase. And they don't really list all of what you will find in terms of solutions, but our vision in CrowdStrike is to have part of the solution and consolidate this approach, and to have at least 6 main categories to cover to have a good cloud protection. And in order to illustrate those, I will use an analogy. I love analogies, metaphors is, a good way to have the information transmitted. We use this metaphor since the ARPANET creation. It's how to protect your house. And it's actually a good analogy. Everything that happens before the runtime, what we call the shift left, is to find vulnerabilities before the pre-runtime. So you will scan images from which you will deploy containers. And then you will see if the images are secured and everything that is in terms of infrastructure and code. The way we check this is to make sure that configuration was done in the right way, in the secure way. So check the house, see if we have had, all the materials, the norms and regulations are respected in terms of environment, and it's very necessary, but it doesn't stop a cloud attack. The CSPM for Cloud Security Posture Management consists of trying to evaluate and identify the wrong configuration and the vulnerabilities. For a house, it would be like, okay, let's ask ourselves, the foundation, the structure, is it good? Do we have termites and the wood, or do we have locks on the doors? It's an area that's very quick in terms of Miriam development in the cloud security, because it is easy to implement. It's not very cost effective. And we just need to feed from the APIs, and we'll have the intelligence to find what looks like a secured environment. It's in the cloud environment, if you have an open port online that is secure, it's maybe not that useful. But if you have a different kind of security that requires it, you'll just notice you have different areas in terms of clouds. However, it is not enough, and we notice that as we speak because it is instant. The objective here is to identify vulnerabilities and not to stop an attack. And what we realize is, in order to secure a cloud environment, there's a ton of parameters that we need to play with, and it does create a lot of detection, a lot of noise. Then we have the KIEM, Cloud Infrastructure Entitlement Management, is to manage the infrastructure. Who can reach the cloud? It's pretty common on the on-premise idea. The principle of zero trust, to create less privilege. It is here to apply it to the cloud environment and the user management to have it more dynamic. So this is very important as well. However, it is not enough to stop an attack in terms of cloud area. This type of solution is coupled with the CSPM. We don't really see it in the standalone mode. And then we have cloud workflow protection. I'm sorry, there's going to be a lot of acronyms today. It is the security system that will observe everything that happens in the house and to prevent theft, damages, and it's a double challenge because we need to have visibility in all of the rooms, everything that happens, all the movements, all of that. If it's dark, if we use my metaphor, of course. And we also need to be agile. In the cloud, if you use CPU power, it's something that you need to pay for. You cannot have an agent that will use a lot of power in terms of container infrastructure. So to me, it's the most critical aspect in the security of the cloud.
Another acronym, ASPM, so Application Security Posture Management. If I take again my metaphor, so here the idea it would be to review in the same time of all the objects in the house and try to understand how all of them could be moved, trying to understand what could be the potential vulnerabilities, putting them back in context. So in a house, I don't know, maybe you have a ventilation from the garden that is accessible from your size and can get inside the house. That could be a vulnerability. Same goes for the SPM. It is a solution that is being managed today by people from the DevOps side, and our prediction is that will be more and more adopted by security teams because it is very important. Once again, ASPM alone does not allow you to stop an attack. It provides an exhaustive view of the risks from the code to the runtime. DSPM to finish, Data Security Posture Management. It is an interesting way, once again, the metaphor is getting a bit far-fetched, though that would be like you put a hair tag on valuables in your house. So imagine you have a Picasso, congratulations, in your house. So yeah, that would be logical to put a label on it and a hair tag, and if you see your painting moving by itself, there is a problem. This is what we do with the DSPM. We will watch only a data flow moving in the cloud environment, and if some data are at risk, we find it interesting. If some of the data are where they shouldn't be or trying to be exploited, it is interesting. Our vision of cloud security with Falcon Cloud Security is to unify all these approaches within one and only platform, CNAP. Our vision is from a complete and exhaustive protection from cloud to code, and to code from cloud. Not showing you all the unrelevant alerts, but more relevant aspect within a context. For example, with some indicators, if you can identify it. We are especially active in the war cloud protection, if you see the last analysis on this domain, because to make it a bit simple, when you're working on the war cloud protection, it's pretty much the same like you are doing EDR on the environment, cloud environment, like less server too. And we've been doing it for like almost 15 years. So we started from this approach because it seems the more critical one. It is this one that will stop the attacks. And since we managed to extend this approach to all our solutions, and it doesn't ask for agents like CSPM or KIEM. As far as I know, the ASPM and DSPM, which is a bit less known, I think we are the only actor today to provide this solution within one unified platform. So today we focused on one of our modules of the platform, but this vision in the cloud cybersecurity should be implemented at the broader scale. It is the vision we have from a centralized and unified platform with one agent collecting all the telemetry from everything that could be interesting, and this telemetry will be valued in different contexts depending if we talk about endpoint protection, ID security, cloud environment, etc. Is your cloud safe? What is your opinion about that? Will it be able to face very powerful adversaries like scatter spiders? If you're sure that you answer, congratulations. If not, I do encourage you to come and visit us for a cloud security risk review. It's easy, it's fast, it's a way for us to evaluate and assess your security in your cloud environment.